Rosler, and you're listening to Shawn Rosler on the Coarse Grind Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is episode number 64 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With you as always, host, creator, Shawn Rosler. How the hell is everyone doing this evening? Super cool episode this evening. Tonight, I'm collaborating, joining forces, doing like some Wonder Twins shit, activating superpowers with an old pit band amigo of mine, Chris Babcock, and his crew at the Dinner with Schmucks Podcast. Say hi, everybody.
What's going on?
Listen to that. I'm outnumbered. I've always had just me, and you're all over there like friends. It's like high school again. I suck.
We're only doing it for the money. Deep right now.
Whoa, you're 4 deep. That sounds filthy. So with that said, guys, tell me a little. What's that? Tell me a little bit about the Dinner with Schmucks podcast. How did it start? Where are you at? What are you doing?
Oh my God, how did this start?
Oh, I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time and could never figure out what to do.
I remember one time we were driving somewhere and you were talking about morning. Oh, I think it was because I was like, I don't know how you listen to sports radio. Like how you can listen to just people just talking about stuff. And you're like, oh, I'd do it, whatever. And I was like, really? Just talking? I'm like, what would you talk about? And that's what you said. You're like sports or whatever.
I could not find somebody to do a sports podcast with down here.
Yeah.
But this was, we were sitting at dinner one night.
Sports aren't popular in Florida? I'm going to let that one just drop to the floor. All right, go ahead.
But we were, Jahad and I were having dinner one night, and we got talking on some bizarre offbeat subject.
Which we do from time to time.
And I'm like, this should be a podcast. We should just record this. Yeah. And the original idea was to actually just record us eating dinner, and we thought that would be a little annoying.
Okay. Yeah,
a lot of chopping and drinking. So we decided to do it an after dinner podcast, and we've come a long way since episode number 1.
Right on. What number are you tallying tonight?
This is number 12.
Nice. Very well. Nice. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done. So that's how it came about. Yeah, I've told this story, I think, once or twice. Mine came about, about 4 years ago. Again, my wife and I were sitting having dinner, and I said, I wonder if this would fly. And tossed it across the table, and she picked up on it. And my first guest, oddly enough, I made poke bowls last night. And I'm going to be reaching out to her for a revisit, rather. Episode 1 was Chef Dakota Weiss from the Top Chef Texas season. So, and ever since, it's been crazy. So it's a good time. And guess what, guys? It's super easy. It takes no time at all, and you get famous instantly.
That's what I said about porn.
I think porn would have been easier. I don't know.
More voice might take me a long way.
Aim high.
Yeah. Shit, I could be doing commercials in no time.
With that rusty, sexy porn voice, did I call it? I think you could be.
Hey, I could be like cell phone commercials or anything.
There you go.
Move over Morgan Freeman.
Oh, that's a lofty threat. Lofty threat. So okay, so you were gonna do sports, and I get that. Chris, I know you're into hockey pretty big, right?
Yeah.
Right. But you shift over to food, but there's got to almost kind of be a why as to the why food, and all you folks, what drew you to that conceptually? What made you want to do a food podcast?
If it necessarily is a food podcast.
Okay.
I think what happened is that since after we moved, and after my friend Lisa moved back into Florida, we started hosting dinner, like a family dinner. And it was just either 4 of us, or including my brother who lives down the street. Everybody would come over for Sunday night dinner.
Right on.
And then,
Monday night.
Oh, was it Monday? Yeah, I guess we did Monday night.
Initially started on Monday.
Yeah, you're right.
And it just spun from there.
And then, we're like, well, everyone's here. Let's just put on some headphones and start talking.
Yeah.
We've always taken turns cooking.
Yeah, we take turns
cooking.
We alternate taking turns cooking, and then we just discuss everything, and then we just
talk about
topics.
Whatever. Yeah.
And we veer off from the dinner thing pretty quickly.
Right.
Yeah. At the beginning, kind of
the
like
introduction to the segment,
Yeah.
and then we'll just let it take its course.
Yeah, would that be the segue to the segue, or is that redundant?
It could be said.
That's heavy.
deep.
All right, so
Bullshit, I can't even think.
so food, but not so food. Totally get it. What?
Food is the thing that brings people together.
Yeah. Oh no, totally, and I get that, and I think that's the cornerstone of why I ran in that direction, because it's something that everybody does. Everybody, everybody eats, everybody hurts, according to Michael Stipe. I've heard.
He has said that.
That was an REM drop. Sorry about that. But
Allegedly.
yeah, allegedly, quote unquote. You have to walk on top of a car with words at the bottom of your screen to really feel the pain. But so, what was for dinner tonight? Talk to me about that.
So tonight I made a pot roast with egg noodles and the biscuits.
Yeah, potatoes and carrots.
Potatoes and carrots
And love.
and love.
Oh,
Lots of
listen
love.
to that. That's sassy. I love that. That's some sassy liquor. And actually, before we go any further, I shouldn't be the only one drinking right now, correct?
Oh, that's right.
Oh man,
You know what? I could actually use another.
All right.
Some drink left in here if somebody wants to go get me another.
unfortunately, our butler is not here.
Oh, but see, you got 4 people. Let me tell you something. There have been episodes where, I realize I didn't back up my backup beer, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, shit, okay. Can I ask a deep question, get up, run downstairs, and come back? And I'm going to go on record right now on my own show, on your show as well, and say I've done that twice that I can remember. So I'm not going to name who, but apologies in advance if you noticed a little bit of airspace. Daddy was thirsty.
Notice I was not listening to you.
Exactly. But so, yeah, the whole food thing, as soon as I saw, dinner, I did assume at that. But it's funny how a show like this, and, I've certainly had it happen, and I'm, sure based on what I understand of you guys' show now, it trails off into so much else because it almost seems to be the starting point and the ending point to everything, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I think so. I like it too. I gravitated towards it because, I cook for a living. I've done it for the last 20 years now, and I love it. I make people smile every day. Like they take pictures of my food. It's a beautiful thing.
I love it.
So we get together every Monday, and then it just right afterwards we just spin off and get to talking with each other.
Yeah, I think we bumped it up Sundays because of the football season.
Yeah, and I killed 2 birds with one stone.
It was within. We kind of banked 3 episodes before we launched, so we started recording these back in early
March?
July.
No, wait.
March. If we only did 12 since March, that's not very good.
Oh.
I moved in at the end of March. So
That's why I'm
definitely
thinking
in
that.
Oh, you're thinking of when we started dinner, but I'm thinking of the podcast.
That's right.
So we banked 3 when
I was wrong.
when we started, and I was listening to, I think maybe after we recorded episode 2, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts is the Bertcast by Bert Kreischer, and he does at the start of his shows, he does a little. His wife sits down with him, and they do a little, anywhere from a 10 to 15 minute intro, and he does his sponsorship reads in there, and he was doing one for Blue Apron, and he said something along the lines of, it's like, you know what? He's like, get your friends over on a Sunday night and, get Blue Apron, sit around and make dinner together. And he's like, you know what? Go in the other room, open up a bottle of wine and do a podcast. And as soon as he said that, it validated like what we were doing for me.
There you go. Yeah, man, that's
like
totally it.
Oprah aha moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that. No, it's funny you mentioned that because one of my recent guests on the show was Chef Richard Blaze from Top Chef, Science Network, Food Network, and I had him on. Super cool guy. He is as advertised, and after I shut the mics off, I gushed to him. I'm like, you have no idea how rewarding it is to have so many of you. And I mean, per capita, I can't go on enough about it. Per capita, the people from Top Chef have been the coolest human beings to interview. But, you know, I was talking to him about it because he's starting his own his own culinary podcast. And, you know, I look and there's guests from my show going on his. You want to talk about a validation point? It might be cool to hear Bert Kreischer say that. It's cool as shit to see Richard Blaze be like, oh, yeah, I had Casey Thompson on. And I go, oh, I had Casey Thompson on for episode 49. Richie, thanks for noticing. So, no, it's such a cool thing, and it's such a great thing. Like, I had somebody ask me, actually, because Sexy Porn Voice, I'm going to refer to you as that because I can't remember your name. You're going to be SPV from now on.
No, super simple. It's Josh.
Josh, all right. I like Sexy Porn Voice better. Friday night, I actually plated for 300 at an event for our hospital, and one of my former guests turned really good friend called me when I was in Mexico, and he's like, you know, hey man, what are you doing on the 6th, Friday the 6th? I said, I don't fucking know. I got 3 kids. What do you want from me? He goes, how would you like to come help me out? I'm short staffed. I said, what, at an event? He goes, yeah. You want to do for 300 people? You want to talk about gratifying, man? Watching those plates fly out. There's nothing better, dude. And now you watch Top Chef. And you realize that A, what they're doing is real, what they're doing is legit, and B, as a podcast host, well, I ain't half fucking bad on my own. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we actually had at the restaurant that I cook at now. What happens, you know, coincidentally, and I don't mean to like toot my own horn, but
no, do it, toot.
We're like the busiest restaurant in the area, you know, and we change our menu every day. Ooh. So we had, if you're familiar with Bar Rescue.
Yes, of course, yeah.
So you know John Taffer or whatever.
I know John Taffer. One of my guests, Keith Breedlove, was one of his bar consultants on one of the episodes.
Well, exactly. So then you're familiar with Chef Duffy.
Yes.
So I've cooked for Chef Duffy twice. He's been to the restaurant. I got pictures with him and everything. Super nice guy. So you know I've cooked for so long, and I've been under a couple different executive chefs before, and I've worked in a multitude of different places or whatnot, but you know, now the older that I've gotten and the new wave of cooks and chefs that are coming around now, the whole misconception or the perception of, you know, the chefs are being like assholes or douchebags, you know, it's there, but it's not like it used to be, you know what I'm saying? Like the back of the house, we're fucking badasses, cool as fuck for the most part. You met a lot of people that are like that, so you know, I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yes, absolutely. And that's, you know, the thing is too, and this is something a lot of guests corroborate, and you know, I've even seen, you know, I work in IT, I work in specifically instructional design, but you know, you get interns coming out of school now and they expect the 6-figure paycheck right out the door. Well, in the same way, you get culinary students out of school now, they expect to have their own show, they expect to have their own line of cooking sauces in, you know, wherever being sold. They don't want to do the grind. And doing that grind the other night made me just respect it so much more. I actually, you know, you have this executive chef walking up and down the middle of the house. The house was a tent out in back of the venue with rental shit and everything. But, like, at one point she turns, not loud and not nasty, but firm enough, and said, there is too much talking here. I want people's heads down, mouths shut, and focused.
Yeah.
And you did it. You got your shit tight. You looked down. You got it out.
You can feel the conviction. You know it's not no time to bullshit. Let's knock it out, get it done, and then we'll get fucked up afterwards. That's right. That's the whole service industry concept. Let's knock it down. Let me feed you, make you happy, and then I'm gonna get shit faced afterwards.
Get to the end of it and get bested. Absolutely. So the rest of you, you know, you do dinner, you do the show. What's been the most rewarding thing about it so far? Like what's one thing you didn't have before that you have now from doing the show? Besides a show. You can't answer a show. That's not fair.
No, I think we've all learned a little bit more about each other, even though I've known Jahida forever, 6 years.
Wait, hold on. Let me do
I was like 11.
Hang on. How old am I? Yeah, that's about right.
Uh-oh. Don't do that on the air.
You know, there's, I don't know, there are different styles of what we find funny or our schmuck of the week.
Yeah, our schmuck of the week. I think for me, because two things I noticed. Well, no, we're fucking hilarious.
I think.
Like, I'll listen to our podcast in the car, and I'm cracking up at I'm like, we're funny. Anyway, so and we should share that with the world. Like, how dare we keep this in these four walls? But I think that's
what she said.
Oh my God!
Sorry, that is like,
well played.
But I don't know, and I'm just like really proud of Chris's work because it's basically like we just sit here and talk on the mics and just act a fool, and then he goes and makes it sound.
Sets it all up.
Yeah,
he sets it up. He breaks it down and all that good stuff.
Good job.
I don't break it down anymore. This has been set up.
It's permanent.
Yeah, now our dining room looks like a studio.
But that's not a bad thing.
Logos.
Yeah.
And all the fancy. He loves to get all the fanciest stuff.
Nothing but the best. Yeah. Nothing but the best.
I've reignited my love for audio equipment again, which is a bad habit to be into. So
that's not that bad. I totally just saw a pop-up ad. I'm sorry, for Walden University, and the female in the ad looks like Tobey Maguire. It's fucking with me. I'm sorry, it's random,
Peter Parker.
Hang on a minute. Hang on. Watch this. I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna save it. Chris, are you on Messenger right now?
I am on my phone.
All right. Hold tight.
But
you got to see this nonsense, and you got to pass it around. This is completely lost on any audience we have whatsoever. It is so messing with me though. I can't deny this the opportunity to be experienced.
Can you send it to the Dinner with Schmucks? Facebook. YouTube.
Oh yeah. Here. Yeah, I
that way we can bring it up on our computer, and if there's an ad, we can actually play it. We have that.
It's not an ad. It's just here. I'll show it.
Well, it's a visual. We can share it. We'll share it out on our Facebook page.
Yeah, here. It's messing with me hard. It's not even right. There you go.
So confused.
Tell me.
All right, here we go. Oh my God, it does.
Dude, am I right?
You are correct.
It looks like Tobey Maguire after his gender reassignment.
I'm just saying, there's something wrong with that. Something very wrong with that.
Oh.
I don't know. Totally random.
We'll share it out on our Facebook page.
Oh, God, please do. Please do. And if anyone's offended, blame it on Chris Babcock.
Yeah, we do anyway.
No one gets offended.
There you go.
No offense allowed.
No offense taken. No offense allowed.
We didn't get any complaints about our fifth episode, so I think we're.
Is that the Whitney Houston one?
No, we got that was the.
That was
the one I did with my brother and Matt.
Oh, the broadcast.
Yeah, there was
broadcast.
There was a good 45 minutes of the 2.5 hours
talking about pedophiles.
Talking about basically, sexual predators and pedophiles.
Wow.
And how to avoid how to avoid checkpoints by utilizing them.
How to avoid what kind of checkpoints? I have to know that.
Yeah, you gotta elaborate. Let them know. Yeah, let them know. Tell them your thing. It's a novel idea. They can use it in Pennsylvania. I'm sure.
So the
a lot of pedophiles over there.
The thought behind this was we were talking about. It started off as a conversation about has anyone ever bribed a cop, and got two thoughtful looks on the two guests, and they're like, "Oh, I've never bribed a cop." And I'm like, all right, elaborate. And they go on to tell a story about...
it depends on what your definition is.
Yeah, define bribe.
Yeah, I gave him a hand job, but I ain't giving him no money.
$20 is $20.
It was no cash.
But both of them got telling stories about getting stopped at DUI checkpoints. And I know in, like, the town of Hawley, they always set them up in front of the high school there, the Wampaupack High School.
Oh, yeah.
And so the one guy at that, my brother... went through one like down in Digman's Ferry in front of the high school.
Yep.
So if you want to avoid checkpoints, is you find out where the sex predators live and drive through their neighborhoods because they're not allowed to live by a school. Therefore, there'll be no DUI checkpoint.
Ta-da!
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 64 of the Coarse Grind.
That was the logic.
Yeah, that's the logic.
I think it's pretty sound logic.
I think it's pretty solid.
So you break down.
I mean,
just when you break down.
Chester trying to touch your butt.
Chester the molester.
I don't. Where do you go with that?
So no offense. There was no offense taken, so we're good.
No. Oh, Jesus. Jesus, Mary. All right.
That might be... You get your butthole plugged.
Oh, that might be the first in 4 years. Good Lord.
Yeah, getting pegged.
How did I miss that? That was the other thing I noticed because no, but we never said it completely. We hinted at it.
Okay, sorry.
So this, I have a feeling, might only end up on one of the two podcasts.
John, if you're listening. Oh, hell no. That's gold, man. That's total gold. That's gold.
That's the other thing that I noticed, that when we do podcasts, because there's 4 of us and there's like kind of, I don't want to say side conversations, but everyone's at some point talking all at the same time.
Yeah.
So when I go back and listen, I get to hear the stuff that
you missed.
Was a part of it. Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, how did I miss that?
Yeah. No, totally. No, totally.
And then the one night we got together over Labor Day weekend and we did a game of Cards Against Humanity.
Oh, the game night,
That was awesome.
Got the video up there too.
Yeah, we did a little video from that, so that was a lot of fun.
Nice. So you're rolling out with it. It's a good time. It's centered around food, albeit indirectly. What's been the biggest to date besides the checkpoint topic? What's been the biggest on-air bone that you've committed?
Huh?
You got one?
Yeah. What's an on-air bone?
You know we're podcast virgins, right?
So yeah, it's not.
I got your bone. Right?
Calm down, sexy
like
porn voice. It's not
topic.
about that. Okay, here's a prime example. Recently, I had probably one of the show's most notable guests on, and I completely mispronounced his new business venture 3 times as I was trying to plug it. And when I went to him, what's that?
Is that called pulling a Trump?
Oh, you can call it whatever. You can associate that fluffy-haired douche with whatever you want to.
Did y'all see that last video?
Puerto Rico?
No, the other video where he's like, I think he was in Puerto Rico. He was somewhere, and he was just like, I want to thank everybody, this, that, and the third, and on behalf of my staff and my security, this, that, and the third, and Melania, she wishes she could be here, but
and she was there,
and she's standing right next to the motherfucker.
Oh my God.
And he proceeds to keep talking, and this bitch's face is in such disbelief.
Is that when he told them good job because only
no,
4 died compared to
that
Katrina?
one was a while ago, but what was it, 2 days ago?
The Vance peripheral doesn't work. I don't know, man.
He was like, we love Puerto Rico.
At least he wasn't throwing Hail Marys with Bounty this time. You know what I mean?
You know what? If I was there, I would have chucked it right back at him. Take this, motherfucker.
So, no, comparatively, it wasn't on par with Trump, but really, let's be fair, what is in the F-Up Central. But, no, so, I go and I butcher it 3 times because I couldn't hear it, and I ask him a question about it, and literally, you want the wooden stake that goes through the podcaster's heart? It's dead air, and there was a good 10 seconds of it before I realized he doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's his thing. I'm butchering it. He doesn't know. Oh my God. And sure enough, I went back to him to try and get the episode promoted and everything. Crickets, nothing back. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cut my losses.
Cricket are the
yeah, I mean, and I've had some really, really super big gets who've been super awesome, who've helped boost the show. Chris Kimball from America's Test Kitchen, if you ever watch it on American Public Media, all the public television channels. He's got a hell of a podcast himself. Super cool to do the show with, and they really did a great job. It's one of the highest view counts, but yeah, that one, I'll even say it. It was Ming Tsai. It was Ming Tsai, and boy, did I screw up on pronouncing it.
Screw the pooch.
Oh my God, awkward air like you would not believe.
We don't really have a podcast like that because we very seldomly have guests, and then when we do, it's so much easier and so much. It's so much.
Well,
more
we know
fluent.
them. We know them.
Yeah. We don't
Somebody
even know you,
knows.
but the fact that he's here and adds another aspect and element is dope.
Yeah.
If the only time I feel that we had a shitty moment I remember that one time where we cut it short. It was just like so quiet, like we were
everyone was
we were burnt out.
We were baked and tired and full. I was like, man, I don't want to do motherfucking thing. I want to lay down.
Was it the third episode where?
I'm telling you, and that's all it was. It just ended up being a bunch of dead air. Like we couldn't transition to nothing. It was like
it took a while to call it dead.
Man.
It was like,
man, we just had to go. But you know, outside of that, it's been pretty solid, man.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I comment to my wife and folks who have been on. I did our 50th show live from the local theater, the Alvina Krause Theater here in Bloomsburg Theater Ensemble. Big plug there. They were awesome enough to give me the house for the night. And we raised almost $2,000 for the food pantry here locally. And it was 5 former guests who were local culinary standouts, and me basically got drunk on stage, and people paid to see it go down. And high point of the night was somebody getting bounced out of the house. That was fun. But no, it was a good time. And since then, I've been saying to people, like, it's weird having to work with people's people. I never thought, I'd be at a place where I'm doing that, and yet here I am, like, talking to agents and sometimes assistants to agents to try and get through to folks. So, it's been interesting like that. But at the same time, I think there's an up to that. Like, you get some, you get some guests you typically wouldn't through organic contact. But at the same time, as I'm listening to the laid back nature, the familiar vibe you guys obviously carry, I would be remiss if I didn't say I was jealous. You guys sound like you gel very well on air.
Oh, we're jealous.
Oh, thanks. We're gelling.
Yeah. Magellan? Are you like Ferdinand?
My whole idea for the feel for this, going back to the early XM days of like Opie and Anthony, and they would just have people
Get the fuck out of here. Wait a minute. Stop. Pause. Are you serious? I spent my 30th birthday in studio.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, dude, I've got pictures. I'll send them to you. My wife was pregnant with what would it be, our first?
No,
our
second.
first fucking kid? No. Shut up. Don't stop messing with me. No, it's our first. Shut up, you. Oh my God, dude. I was in studio. It was H-Cup Jane was in studio. Stalker Patty was in there. We did the walkover when the walkover was still a thing.
Okay. That was the CBS year still. Okay.
Oh yeah, dude. It was massive. I've got pictures downstairs with Voss, with Patrice.
Patrice.
Patricky.
I miss that guy. Like I know him. He was the kind of you felt like you knew him.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, all right. Quick story about Patrice. We were, we're up in New York for my 30th weekend, my 30th birthday weekend. And my dear, sweet, very pregnant wife books tickets to Comedy Club to see Patrice headline. And we go up in our very Pennsylvania ways, not knowing what the fuck we're doing. And
what club?
I forget the name of the club. I'll find it. And, so we take the town car uptown because, town car's not that much more. It's a little more comfortable. Fantastic. We get there and we get out and we just walk up to the club. And outside there's this big dude kind of hunched over on a milk crate. And his back is to us. But I hear this, man, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no way. And literally, Patrice O'Neill was sitting on a milk crate outside the club talking to people just walking by because we were there when the first set was seated and everything. He was waiting to go do his first set. And so we were early and we go in and it's like a 4-seat bar. We can't go back. We can't go in. And, the owner's like, yeah, here, you want to sit here? You want to have a drink? Yeah. So we're sitting there. We're, just my wife and I are talking and literally the door opens 5 minutes later. And, this big, as he would call it, and as Anthony would call it, this big gorilla hand comes crashing down on my shoulder. It goes, y'all don't look like you're from around here. And I'm like, no, sir, we are not. And after that initial bump, after that initial thing, he looks at my wife and goes, I'm Patrice, nice to meet you. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to introduce, like, we know who you are, dude. And instantly, though, this was the greatest part about people from that show. He instantly looks at Grant and goes, oh, how far along are you? Blah, 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 and just lays into it. And it was like a friend. And about 5 minutes later, somebody comes up taps him on the shoulder, whispers in his ear. Keith Robinson was there too, by the way.
Nice.
And taps him on the shoulder. He goes, "Man, I gotta go. Well, I'll see you guys inside." Like, really? Really? So that was the cool part about that era. I don't think we're gonna see that again ever.
No, not at all. But that's the kind of feel I was going for. I would love to. We were talking about this last week. Living down here in the Tampa Bay area, there's a lot more culture than there was when I grew up.
It's so weird. I feel like I think I stepped back in history when I moved here.
Really? So, you mean Hawley's not that diverse?
Or you talked about to Riverview?
Well, I felt like in Riverview I got pushed into a puddle, but like from California to Tampa Bay, yeah.
So anyway, but so we have an improv.
I lived
a half hour from
and
there.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lisa lives in. Well, you lived in Allen. That was even above. Like the town.
So when
I
he's,
grew up in.
I'm like, I get it.
So, but I would love to try to get the guys who do the
like the openers,
not even the openers, but the guys who do the hosting. They call in and are usually local guys. We are actively working on a plan to try to get Bert Kreischer to come crash our wedding because he's down here that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll approach him on Thursday night when we're going to see him.
Crossed.
Nice.
So we may make history one way or another for the Dinner with Schmucks podcast.
Whether good, whether bad. We don't know.
Yeah, no such thing as bad press. Yeah.
No, that's true. That's true. Last I checked, there is not. But no, that's totally. You're absolutely right. I think that's an era. That's a feel that I think. I don't know. That's kind of what I strive. Obviously, without the irreverence, let's say, because I don't have the familiarity with most of the people on the show. You guys already. I feel like I can open up a little bit more with, just because of the nature of your show and the nature. Of me knowing Chris just because we knew each other kind of thing. But, when you get, Chris Kimball, Neil Fraser, that kind of people on, I'm like, I'm not going to be telling dick and fart jokes anytime soon. That's just not the route I'm going to go here.
Live your dream. If you want to tell dick and fart jokes,
just do it.
Not going to lie.
You do it and do it in a sexy porn voice.
See, I need you to do that, though. I can't do that on my own. I can't do that on my own.
I'm not that far away. I'll be a guest on your show, man. You let me know. We'll make it
sounds
happen.
like he's swiping left. Like, he's like, what?
You better be swiping left on me. Come on now.
Nice.
Oh, man. So what's up next? What's the next couple episodes? What do you got on the agenda?
Nothing.
We don't ever have.
We don't go that far in advance, man. We kind of just wing it, man.
But
this is pretty much
an
improvised session with a couple bullet points, and then we just take it from there. That's why we're so grateful to have you on the show, because it just helps everything out.
Oh, listen to that.
What if we can do an episode next weekend? We got a lot of
What's going
gear
on next
going
week?
Sunday and Monday night.
Yeah.
What am I doing Sunday? Oh, yeah. And Monday. Oh, yeah.
Monday's a dress rehearsal, so we might be taking a week off.
I was an adult.
We might have to try to
He's got my calendar on point.
slide in.
Tell me how to live my life.
Might have to slide in a pop-up show. I don't know. I guess I don't know. No more of those two-person pop-up shows. Though that was weird.
That was weird.
2-person pop-up shows. What are they about?
So we just randomly do them.
Well, he says like it means he.
No, well, you did one of them.
I did?
The first one Chris was on. We set up in the living room or something. It has nothing to do with anything to do with dinner. And we just turn on the mics and talk for however long. Like I did it when I was up in Pennsylvania this summer with my brother and one of my best friends.
That was the broadcast.
Yeah, we went on for 2.5 hours, and
that was pretty funny.
I think it was a funny episode.
That was a good one.
But then I did one 2 weeks ago. Last weekend we did one. Him and Chris and I did one, and that was a weird one.
Oh yeah, I was not involved.
Is that the one that got removed?
Yeah, the YouTube police wouldn't even let it up.
Did you tell Shawn about that? About the YouTube police?
Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Something pissed off Fox to have them ban episode 10.5. 10.5,
dog. We're going virtual.
We couldn't even call it a full episode. It wasn't worthy of getting a full episode number.
But it's still like
Bad
everywhere
news
else.
is
Like
good
it's still
news.
like on iTunes.
Yeah, it's still
on
everywhere
Google
else,
Play.
just not on YouTube.
I think that's kind of pivotal, though.
No, exactly.
You were banned by the man. Fuck you.
I'll show you.
I'll show you, Fox.
No, I'm trying. Actually, you know what? I had something pulled down by Warner Brothers because I used the I don't know. Was it Warner Brothers or who was it? The film company that backed the Kill Bill series, right?
Okay.
You know the intro track that.
Yeah.
So I used that on my build up to 50, and I don't know, about a week and a half later, I get this flamer email, and it's like, you are being notified, blah blah blah, blah, signed, and I'll say Warner. I'm not sure, like signed Warner Studios. Do you know I printed that shit and framed it? I'm like, you know what? I am somebody. I am somebody.
Fuck yeah.
That's awesome.
But I mean,
I have no idea what it was for. We did use we actually
Didn't you play Celine Dion on that episode?
Yeah, we were watching a VR video of Titanic game, and to spice it up a little, I played a little theme
My
of
heart will go
Titanic
on.
in the background. And so it could have been that. It could have been when we watched an episode of How I Met Your Mother and kind of commented over it. That could have pissed them off too. So, or it could have been Fish when we started. I have no idea.
Hashtag choices. What do you do?
Whatever.
it's crazy the shit you can't get away with now, though. Like, you know, even on Facebook, this is not to, you know, go totally off topic, but like if you take a video and there's a song playing in the background, we've removed the audio track because we're greedy sons of bitches. Like, what?
You're not making money
What
off
are
of
you
it.
getting from that? What are you getting from a video of my kid dancing besides, you know, obviously an offer to avoid drunk checkpoints? Now, you know what? All right, there you go. That's for you, Chris.
Now there's two of you.
There you go.
Two buttons.
But it's ridiculous because I could see if somebody like uploads a track and it sounds pristine, you know, or somebody can download it, put it in their iPod, and not pay for it.
Right,
So, like,
exactly.
And other ways to steal music. But when it's in the background video, it's on some clip recorded on your iPhone.
What are you going to get from that?
Yeah, you're not using it to make money. It makes no sense. It's
Exactly.
Just the man trying to keep you down.
everyone's
The
sensitive.
man.
Like
It's the man.
Mike Pence leaving the football game today. People killed during the anthem. Go away.
So what?
I thought he left because there was nowhere for him to pee, and he needs to sit when he pees.
Wow.
Correct. I've heard that too.
Wow.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Did he had like a former life or
Vagina?
something that he
What?
could like kind of
Former
exactly. Like
He
a
used
past
to have a
life.
vagina.
Yeah,
That he had a what?
Those memes, like the gender reassignment.
Oh, was he? You know, I hope
Or
that
no,
he
it
was
a
actually
sexuality thing.
born a man, because I can't imagine him being born a woman.
He looks like
He
the
was a
guy
winner.
from that cartoon Johnny Quest or something.
Oh my God, he does. Shit, what's his name? Ray. Wow.
I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, yeah, he's totally a homo. Totally.
That's the meme I saw. They have
Oh,
a
have
picture
you?
of him.
Okay.
Yes, like,
Yeah.
in the past. Oh, you've seen it?
No,
have to
I'm
find this now.
allegedly.
Allegedly that our vice president's homosexual. Which is fine. I have nothing against
He does.
gay
though.
people. I have something...
The opinions in this podcast are not the expressed opinions.
Somebody that,
the Dinner
like,
with Schmucks.
that hates themselves that much. Oh, John Ralphio.
God,
Maybe my
but let's be
John-
fair. He's so like adamant against everything. Like, stop it. What do you
Yeah.
get? What do you get? What does it matter to you? It's a hurdle, a curb high, if that at best. And yet, you've got a problem with it. And yet, you've got your finger that close to the button to drop bombs. Therein lies my concern.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, my kid can't have a piece of candy. He gets pissed off. You know, that's a problem. That's basically the parallel. My kid not being able to have a piece of candy, telling me he hates his life. Well, Mike Pence, being vice president, saying that's what bothers him.
Yeah.
Come on.
He needs to fix his life.
Come
Hashtag
on.
Fix your life.
And Beauregard.
Oh, send that to me so I can post it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Lisa just found a picture. Yeah, we're gonna post it.
I'll post that picture.
Ray Spannon. Ray Spannon was the guy's name. Johnny Quest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch that. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't think you did.
Wouldn't it be funny if you talked about some obscure thing and I'd be like, oh my god, I've seen every single episode and I knew more about it than you did?
Never gonna happen.
But what if?
It won't.
I'm just saying. Watch out, because one of these days.
I don't know.
One of these days.
What about Friends? We have a Friends showdown.
I don't know about that.
It's like his memory is really good.
But oh my god, you guys, I saw every episode to give me a break. It was stellar. I love Nell Carter. She's amazing.
I was on the Roku yesterday, and I noticed an ad over to the side for Perfect Strangers. Every single episode is on Hulu now.
Oh my god.
Balky.
Yeah. Did we ever get the sheep's name?
Got a dude in my kitchen I work with. Shout out to Jameson. Big head. He look like Balky.
Does he?
Does he have a
Picture
sheep?
didn't happen.
He don't have a sheep.
You better send it. You better bring a pic.
Do you know what the sheep's name was in Perfect Strangers?
No.
I'll ask you.
We should Google it. I'm sure it's out there.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
I think it sounds like
Don't
Shawn
be
might be doing it
ridiculous.
too.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what this fast typing that you speak of.
I have no idea.
My microphone's so close to my keyboard.
Welcome to the internet, my friend. How can I help you?
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Fox may come calling again.
Come on. Oh no, you used The Simpsons.
That was just my really fat friend.
That was right, yeah. Sure, I can do the same name. Just let me... I'll do it next time, even on myself, because I stink like that. Can't train a sheep herder, Larry Upton, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it.
Dude, I don't know. What is this?
Maybe someone can...
Dimitri.
Was it sheep's name Dimitri?
It says that.
Dimitri. That's what we've been waiting
I know, it's
10
disappointing.
episodes for.
It's a little disappointing.
For those of you just tuning in, this is, in fact, the Coarse Grind Podcast. We haven't mentioned food in about 20 minutes. Rest assured, you're in the right place. America or Burst. I just saw the sign with him, like, clutching a, teddy bear? On the back of the...
Sheep, probably.
It's
That's
the
what we're
sheep.
talking
Is
about,
it
right?
the sheep?
It's Dimitri.
I thought it was a real sheep. Maybe that's my Honesdale
He's a
upbringing.
sheep herder. Like, that's what he
Well,
did.
that one went over. All right.
So,
We'll pretend that didn't happen. What's that?
not only are you listening to the Coarse Grind Podcast, you're also listening to Dinner with Schmucks.
Hey, schmucks.
Yeah, come on. My back's only so strong. I can't carry both plugs. Come on.
Yeah, so what are we calling this again?
The grinder something?
Grinder hookup.
The grinder hookup.
I love it.
I love it. Or it should be called, like, Swipe Left, the grinder hookup.
Swipe left. Hey, Shawn, for our listeners, which ones we have?
7 of you guys out there.
Hey, there's a few. There's
We've got,
quite a
like,
few.
over 60 people in San Francisco. I cannot believe that.
But where can people hear your podcast?
People can hear the Coarse Grind Podcast on our YouTube channel, and Coarse is C-O-A-R-S-E, as in my personality and salt. YouTube, iTunes, our site, coarsegrindpodcast.com. See that? That's good. I know the name of my site. Wait a minute. I got one more. There you go. All right. Yeah, and so website, YouTube, and iTunes, definitely for sure. Where can they find the Dinner with Schmucks podcast?
Dinner with Schmucks.
You could start with SoundCloud. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Google Play. Tune in. I'm trying to think where else it is. Some of them are on YouTube. The ones that YouTube
the ones that they
don't
didn't
take
pull.
down.
Yeah, so it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, SoundCloud. I think it's all of them.
And then Napster, LimeWire, Winamax.
we briefly discussed
Huzzah.
maybe do it with YouPorn. Yeah, we were or Pornhub. We'd find old like 80s porns and
We
just
have
drop
our
our audio
handle.
behind it.
Apparently, it's only going to be good for a couple
We're freaks over here, too.
more months.
And then, of course, for all of the videos and photos we're talking about, Facebook.com.
Oh, and we have Instagram.
Yeah, but we can't find that stuff there yet.
Oh.
Duh.
You dummy.
Florida. That's the name.
So how's life these days in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania?
Where is Bloomsburg?
Bloomsburg. Where is Bloomsburg? So it's
Is that Kelsey Grammer falling off stage?
Yeah, it is Kelsey Grammer falling off stage.
It's an Opie and Anthony sound clip.
I got you, man. I got you covered.
Nothing gets past this one. Oh man.
Oh man.
Your Vulcan hearing.
Oh my god. Okay.
Do you know what he was wearing when he fell off the stage?
I never saw the video. I just knew the audio from the show.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I'm glad he fell down. So yeah, Bloomsburg is a university town actually in central Pennsylvania, about an hour and a half south of Honesdale, where I grew up, and Mr. Chris there was about maybe 20 minutes away in Holly-ish.
Holly-ish. We'll call it Holly-ish.
So.
Pocono.
That's where we are, and it's funny you bring that up because I wanted to circle back. I kind of wanted to, get into the fun, have a good episode with it, but I wanted to know how is Florida coming back from what happened?
I mean,
You mean like post Irma?
Yes, post Irma.
Right here, not much. I mean,
as opposed to Jeb Bush. Yeah.
Well, just like every hurricane season, whenever there's like a named storm and it's coming this way, everybody acts like it's the end of times. And the week, like coming up to the storm, everybody buys out the stores.
But this one cracking as if it might have been end of times. Not end of times, but close.
It was huge.
Unlike last year's.
Well, that's true. That's true.
But
because everyone did it last year too, and nothing happened.
Nobody paid attention.
But. Yeah, this one we actually took action. But, I mean, a lot of people, evacuated. People here, and we're, not in a flood zone, and we're not on the water. But everyone leaves town, so they get stuck in traffic, 2 days before the hurricane is due to hit, because everybody and their mom is on the road, rather than just boarding up and hunkering down. And then it did happen, and we all stayed here and put up our shutters and
had a good time.
Ate, really, just ate. I think I ate a bag of Doritos.
We watched football, watched the Giants lose.
Yeah, we never lost electricity.
Yeah,
we never lost internet. We didn't lose cable. No DirecTV power.
DirecTV didn't even go out.
Didn't even go in.
Yeah. We were bad and bougie, for real.
So, very grateful and minimal damage.
But I mean, Key West was in rough shape. And
oh, yeah.
They just started, and I hear that they're bad, but they, last week started taking in tourists and stuff.
Yeah,
they're apparently key to other keys, not
the more residential ones.
Yeah. So.
I drove down to Miami.
You
right
just
now,
got back.
Billboards were the only things that,
Oh, and I did see that. When I went to go get your mom, I go over to the other coast and come back. That's, the one thing I saw, especially, in Orlando. It was, all the billboards were torn up.
Yeah, they were torn up around here, too, but that's going to happen. But so, for the most part, we're in good shape here in Florida. Obviously, Puerto Rico is a different situation.
Well, good, because I know when we were first setting out to set the show up, obviously that was one of the considerations, not to be selfish, or anything. I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm sorry. Jesus, you got that thing going on over there. Let me step back.
I wanted to do a podcast during the storm, but it was so dark in here all the time because of the storm shutters up. You just were tired all the time.
Yeah.
So you had no energy to do anything because you didn't know what time of the day it was.
Right.
Yeah, that's the one thing to complain about. That would be the one thing.
No, I haven't experienced that since college.
Dark rooms.
Ooh. Excuse me.
That's terrible. I'm sorry.
All right, go ahead.
I did broadcast once from Bloomsburg.
You did from WBUQ.
No, it was actually when and I don't remember what season it was, but ESU was playing Bloom in one round of the playoffs. It was after I'd graduated, but I was still living in the area. I was working in Bangor, Pennsylvania, and I knew the sports director.
Hashtag Bangor.
And I was doing football games.
Bangor. I don't even know her.
I do. She's totally bigger.
So we were doing. It was like the second round, I think, of the playoffs that year, and we were in Bloom for the game. And we brought all the equipment, and of course none of the equipment worked. So we did it with our cell phones, broadcast and recorded back to the board in Stroudsburg, and then our producer back in the station just used our cell phone audio for the call. But we technically broadcasted a football game from Bloom, and ESU did beat Bloom that day.
Nice.
Look at that.
Like 2005, I think it was, because then ESU went on to play somebody up in Michigan and got annihilated. It's the team that win, like Grand Valley State. They win the NCAA Division II like every year.
So that sucks. They should be Division I.
They should be Division I AA.
I feel like if you like dominate that shit, then go ahead and put them in one AA. Get promoted. Let me see if you badass then. So they're playing these JV college kids,
and that was probably the last time I was in Bloomsburg too.
All right. Well, here's the update. You haven't missed a thing since then. Hashtag update. There you go. You're good. You're up to speed. You are up to speed, my friends. Man. But no, it's cool. It's it's a university town, so that works. But we still find ourselves going out of the area. So it is what it is, as they say.
Nice time of the year up there, though.
Oh yeah, gorgeous, gorgeous. Are we really talking about weather right now?
It's like 95. It was like 95 degrees.
We complain about the weather all the time on our podcast.
Yeah, I was getting a little stickage today. I'm not gonna lie. It was like 80, mid 80s, and it was sticking. So
it's like only mid 90s here. So
only mid 90s. Listen to him.
With 1,000 humidity.
That's so cute.
And it drops to what at night? Yeah.
What at night here?
Yeah.
I don't know, like 40.
Yeah, it must be. It's horrible.
It's terrible.
Low 80s here.
It's terrible.
Maybe.
I spent 3 days this week in Canada up in Toronto, and it was absolutely gorgeous up there. Like, I did not want to come back.
He came back with, like, a realtor's business card.
He's ready to move. Healthcare, bitch. Out of here.
And seasons.
I need the 4 seasons.
Yeah, I think I've lived here long enough that I actually miss seasons. I didn't used to, and I used to travel a lot before. So if I wanted a season, I would just go to it. Mm-hmm. And then when I got sick of it, I'd get back on the plane. Be like, oh, this sucks. Bye.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days.
Listen to that.
Free baby.
That's right. We call it BK. Before kids.
Before kids.
Man, there was a whole lot that could be and was done before then. And now...
That's 8 o'clock.
I love it.
I didn't think I was going to miss stuff like that. But, like, I do.
No, you do. You miss every single aspect of it that you humanly possibly could. And you don't realize it until it's unfortunately too late. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But I love this. I love this.
So you know what I just thought of is, we discussed what we had for dinner on this end.
Oh, what
yes.
Exactly. What did you have for dinner?
What exactly did I have for dinner tonight? So last night was a poke bowls. Tonight was a wonderful assortment of leafy organic greens, hand-washed by Australian virgins in river water, cascading down a crystal shore.
Is there such... Because I heard Australian girls are pretty wild.
I wouldn't know because my wife listens. So, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, that's what I hear. No, I'm kidding, of course.
Yes.
No, it was
Sorry, not sorry.
simple salad.
To call in from Australia.
She's on the middle of the ocean.
Australia's on the line here.
She doesn't have a phone.
It's on Facebook.
Satellite phone. Sure.
She doesn't have a
Messenger.
Yeah,
Dialing in from the Pacific. But no, turkey sloppy joe with an onion roll and salad.
Nice.
Nice and laid back today. That's for Sunday, you toss that shit in the cooker and you just let it go. You don't try to get it too crazy.
And when he says we, he means me.
That's true, her. Well, I cooked dinner last night.
Hashtag clarification.
Hashtag I cooked dinner last night.
Hashtag you did an amazing job last night. It was good.
Listen
Pizza
to
was
that.
You're an awesome cook.
Did homemade pizza last night.
That's
All right. Homemade dough to boot? Everything?
Well, I bought the homemade dough from Publix. So it wasn't like box dough. It was actually dough that they made, but no, I didn't sit and eat it myself.
I like how you say, I bought the dough, the homemade dough from Publix. Like, you doubled back almost as if to try and, like, throw one out there and be like, oh, no, wait, did he make it? No, I think he made it. No, he made it. He made it. No, it's totally homemade.
Out, because I'm sure there was more than one.
No, actually, there was only one left when I got there.
Really? Okay, I tried to help you out.
Cut it in half. First try, I cut it perfectly in half by weight. Perfectly. Scale does not lie. It was perfectly in half. And
he does that with his burgers too. Whenever he gets like the right handful and he gets it like on the mark,
I want him exactly.
He wants fireworks.
But then one of the pizzas was filet and blue cheese with onions.
Like a black and blue pizza.
Yep, and then the other one was a chicken. It was supposed to be a garlic chicken pizza, then I forgot to pick up the mozzarella cheese, so we substituted with like a Mexican blend.
Taco cheese.
Oh,
all right.
Nice.
So it was kind of a hybrid, like chicken, Mexican, chicken, garlic, something pizza.
It was delicious.
How was the dough since you used that type of cheese?
It was good. It worked out.
It was homemade dough, porn voice. Leave him alone.
No, I only asked because when you don't use the typical mozzarella that goes for pizza and you use a shredded blend that's maybe could be finer or whatever, the melting point on that is a little different.
Well,
so it could be burned before your dough is...
I think because it was like that thicker.
This was the thicker shred, so it wasn't the real fine shred.
It was a valid question.
No,
guy.
Good point.
Hold on, Mr. Shawn.
This is a food podcast tonight. So
about to be a street fight.
No way. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
What?
We watched
Michael Jackson?
No.
You're pointing.
What did we watch? We watched The House last night. Did you ever see that movie?
What about Michael Jackson? How did we go from Michael Jackson, The House, to pizza dough with Mexican cheese? What? Did I just fucking black out? What happened?
It's pretty ADD.
Before you know
God
it, we were talking
damn.
about firecrackers and jumping jacks. Yeah, we're just talking about cereal and food stamps.
Lisa was talking about her pot scat.
What?
Pod scats. Yeah.
Oh my God! I think
That's how they typically go.
It's true.
is this the episode where I go down?
Down in flames.
I'm going down. All right. So wait a minute. What movie did you ask if I saw?
The House.
I've got 3 kids. You can assume I haven't seen the movie.
Oh, it came out on something. I don't know. Blu-ray, something these days. Digital
iTunes?
downloads.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, not in the theater.
It wasn't
anymore.
in the theater.
It wasn't in the theater.
Okay.
I mean, we watched it last night after Raymond.
I watched
went to bed.
most of it.
I stayed up for most of it too. I got to the end before I fell asleep hard.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
So in other words, you saw the movie.
I did.
Okay.
I saw some of it.
Anyway,
All right.
what we were talking about?
I don't know what
The
you got
movie
so
has your
excited
buddy
about.
everywhere.
He was talking about shredded cheese, and he's talking about he was a lover, not a fighter, and about the fights.
The Fight Club.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
What?
So it's like
We're starting a
they
podcast.
started like a underground casino in their house to raise money for.
Wait a minute. Wait. Did I hear Podcoast?
Podcast, yeah.
So it's hot scats.
I couldn't do it together. I jammed myself up.
So all right. So moving.
Don't hit it. It's too late. What did you hit?
I didn't hit anything.
No.
Biff. You gotta hit the biff.
Butthead.
Oh.
I got your butt hit right here. See, like we're gonna have to
steal that one from you.
Love this sound thing. Me, not so much.
No, you don't.
Maybe if he was like a little quicker on the draw.
Dude, Chris Babcock's a board up.
Action kills it.
He's a board up.
What did he say? See, I can't. But so somebody starts to pick a fight with somebody else, and they're like, "There's no fighting in here unless you're gonna bet." And so like they all of a sudden start this like fight club for money, and it's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was a funny movie. We recommend it.
Oh, is that
Give it
the one
2
Will
thumbs up.
Ferrell and
with?
what's her name?
Yes, Amy Poehler. Okay, now I just got it. Okay, I do remember.
There's a lot of people that.
Oh, and so before I forget, the daughter's haircut. I think that's what I want.
Okay.
So if you do see it or see a clip or whatever.
Sounds good. I'm a hairstylist, by the way.
Hair by Lisa Michelle.
Yes, sir.
What? You Mexican that up?
I didn't Mexican it up. I Boricua it up.
Wow.
There's a difference. Puerto Rico, there's a difference.
Wow.
Or like, what was it in Scrubs when Turk, what did he call his, he kept calling his wife my Puerto Rican princess, and she's like, Turk, I'm Dominican. I love it.
Nice. Oh my god. Well, tell you what, guys, I'm gonna actually start to land this plane, and I want to ask you all one of my favorite questions to ask during an interview, because, you know, obviously we're off the rails, and I love it. I hope you guys have had a good time with it, but I want to ask one, because I think you're all gonna have amazing answers, given your backgrounds. One of my favorite things to ask is, you're gonna be stranded on a deserted island. You can only bring 3 foods with you. Unlimited supply, 3 foods. Or food type items. What would they be and why? You pick the order you answer in.
No, it's singular items. No, I can't just be like Chinese food.
No. Gotta be a thing.
Specific 3 items.
Correct.
Alright, well, I vote that I get to clean up on this one while the other 3 things, so I'm going to go last.
You got it. He already called it.
Dibs.
Dibs.
Well, I already got 1 of my 3, so I'm like 30.
As soon as
My new obsession is Vanilla Life cereal.
So that's one of the things you would take.
If you asked me today, I think that would be.
Wait, so if we're
No, wait, the thing is going to have that milk. Wait, have milk with it.
Okay, I'm going to say that. I'm going to say milk, and I'm going to say devil dogs.
There you go.
You sound like a 10-year-old.
Are you 5? Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
Home Alone or something. Like the kid from
Keep
Home
the
Alone.
change, you filthy animal.
I have to protect my house.
Grab the Lunchables.
Oh my gosh. So, okay,
I need rounds of bologna stat.
I went.
I got
Somebody else
2.
gotta
No,
go.
I got 2.
Come on, guys. Don't dead air me here.
Okay, sorry. So for me, at
Said
least
food,
2
so.
is definitely a filet. Like, I would eat
Yeah.
steak all the time, forever and ever. Onion, but I mean, that's not really a food. It's an herb, right? It's a vegetable.
What's an herb? An onion's an herb?
Or a garlic, you know.
you are a
What?
Is it garlic?
Onion is a garlic. Well, anyways,
It's the
definitely a
herbiest of all
filet,
herbs.
medium. And I would also, it's from a specific place, Caesar salad from Donatello's.
Okay.
I would do that unlimited forever and ever.
So steak,
what's your third?
onion, and
I can't think of a third. Yeah, I guess. Something to spice it up.
Huh.
Because I'm not really into, maybe rice, I guess.
It can't be like a dish. It's got to be like an item.
Yeah. Ideally. I'm sorry to limit your creativity as such.
Yeah, jeez.
I was Johnny on the spot with this one.
Yeah, because you eat like a 10-year-old.
I don't always eat like a 10-year-old.
No, you don't always, but that's like, you're like,
Good
I want
stuff.
cereal and milk and
Well,
devil dogs.
Twinkies,
Yeah.
breads, and now later.
Yeah, red Starburst only.
I want a whole bunch of reds and pink Starburst.
Got,
Then when my teeth rot
I've
out.
got grain. I've got dairy.
And devil dogs.
Oh,
devil
check you
dogs.
out.
Whew. Okay. I guess it would be hummus.
Nice.
Wow.
God.
You threw me.
I could do hummus forever.
Gross.
Which makes me like a undercover lesbian, because I hear lesbians love the hummus.
I get that. I see.
They
I can see.
So hummus,
Ready to scissor something.
I guess.
I caught that.
You think you're slick.
I caught that.
You think you're slick.
I totally
Call me Mr. Steal
I totally caught that.
Mr. Steal Your Girl.
It's Mr. Steve.
No.
Anyway.
Okay, so hummus, Doritos, Cool Ranch. That's like my stress saver right there. Cool Ranch Doritos.
Cool Ranch Doritos.
Hummus, grapes, and double stuffed Oreos.
There you go.
day.
Are you stoned right now? Like,
But I never buy Oreos. They always want them. That would be a gift to myself. Yes, bitch. You can have as many double Oreos as you want.
yeah, she's stranded on a deserted island. You'll never see anybody again. Here's some cookies.
Yeah, no judgment from anybody.
Yes, here's some double stuffed Oreos. That's not like a real lesbian thing to say.
There's a red snapper swimming by the shore looking at you. Stop looking at me.
Exactly.
Don't you judge me.
No judgment.
You stay classy, San Diego.
So those are my three. All right, Josh, clean it up.
Oh man, I have to stay with the proteins. I'll just do. You give me some ribs, I'm good, but they got to be pork ribs. And then
Had the entire time to
some
think
chicken
about that.
wings, and give me some
Collard greens.
Ooh.
Protein.
No way.
Collard greens have got lots of iron.
And steak. Yeah, I'm straight on that.
So devil dogs.
Just I'm good with that.
What? What about devil dogs? Lay off the devil dogs.
He wants them bad.
Did you buy devil dogs today?
I did not. I almost did.
Ma'am, did you get my devil
When he goes
dogs?
to the grocery store, he always brings extra things, and then he hides them from me, and then I find them because eventually I get on a step stool, and I.
Wow, so we have the same household, apparently. Same thing.
I don't remember these tasty cakes.
How did these devil dogs get here?
Exactly.
Oh, you should add a Wawa gobbler to your list.
That's not a food. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
You can't. Yeah, it has to be the gravy.
but yeah, I was thinking I'd never get sick of hummus. I've never been sick of eating grapes, and I would never get sick of eating double stuffed Oreos. So that's why I picked my three.
And what's your third?
What's your third?
I said it.
You said
steak.
collards, didn't you?
No way, that's what this fool said. I don't want no collard green. These something's gonna stick to my ribs. 200 pounds and some change, man. I need some food.
Was that supposed to be some kind of sick joke? Was that supposed to
I need ribs.
So ribs,
You have
chicken
the
wings.
Ribs, chicken wings, and steak. I'm good.
Do you have the entire Opie and Anthony soundboard?
I'm working off it right now, actually.
Yes, I do. That is a big 10-4.
What are your three?
My three.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not fair. You can't turn. Yeah, you can. My three that I answered. You can. That's true. My three that my wife interviewed me for the 20th episode when we were down in Mexico in 2015 was beef bourbon beer. Because, like, look, I'm not getting off the island. Let me be jacked up enough to not care.
Okay.
And do you know what her nurse response was to me? I swear, she turned and she's like, well, you're going to die of colon cancer. I'm like, I'm on an island. What is it going to matter?
What is it? Beef what? Beef bourbon and what?
Beef bourbon beer.
Beef bourbon beer. Well, you say three things. I thought it was three food objects, sir.
Well,
Does that change your answer?
can you eat or drink bourbon and beer, sir?
No, I'm just saying. I thought these were all, something that you said. Your three foods you would bring.
Well, I said milk.
No, I know.
Yeah, you did say
I was just curious.
Okay. Jeez, now we're getting picky. God almighty. I didn't mean to offend.
But if we're stranded on the island, would people be stranded together? Because then that means we have 6 things.
You 6 things. You can't get 6 things. It's only 3.
No, she was talking about a cohabitated desert
If we were
island.
stranded together.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd have to...
Or if it was like the raft in Titanic,
And you're floating in the water.
and I didn't fall into the water.
Well, listen, if you can't fit Leonardo on there, you can't fit double stuffed Oreos on there either. So,
I
Devil
will find
dogs,
a way.
because I bet you they would
She will let him go and eat the damn
So-
double stuffed.
all the trans fats in the devil dogs will keep it afloat.
Yeah, my name
Let's
is
be
not
fair.
Rose.
Bye, boy.
My name is not
Bye.
Rose.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Let's get it on.
Yeah, I think the plane has missed
Crash
the runway.
It's misfiring. A couple synapses got skipped.
The oxygen tubes.
The
just
oxygen? What the...
Apparently,
the oxygen?
Apparently that
Language is
speech
hard today.
impediment is like
that below sea level.
I can word.
Lack of oxygen is getting to the head.
Oh, dear God. All right, Dinner with Schmucks crew. Last question, and I'll leave you be to your own devices. What is food to you in a single word?
Life and love, yeah.
Life and love.
There's 2 things in my life that you don't mess with. It's food and sleep. That's it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, for me, it's life.
Life and love. I love, and here's what I love, you know, for the record-breaking attendance for a show of 5 total, including me, I heard that answer above everything else this evening in unison. Life and love, like literally at the same time. And I think that speaks volumes to why you guys, definitely gel like you do and have such a show as you do. So, Dinner with Schmucks crew, it has been an absolute pleasure having you with me. Yeah, right on. Tell us again where we can find you.
Dinner with Schmucks can be found on SoundCloud,
iTunes, Stitcher,
Google Play,
TuneIn,
anywhere you get your podcast, any platform that hosts podcasts.
And then check us out on Facebook.
We got our Facebook, Dinner with Schmucks. We've got Twitter and Instagram.
And Instagram. So we're everywhere.
You're everywhere.
YouTube.
And everywhere at the same time. Yeah, so check them out. Dinner with Schmucks Podcast. Chris Babcock, my old homeboy from the days of the Honesdale-Paw Pack rivalry. Thanks for getting in touch with me.
Next time we have to talk about I don't know, what did we do? Guys and Dolls together. We did a few pit orchestras together.
It wasn't Guys and Dolls. It was Annie Get Your Gun. Was the orchestra that I almost got kicked out of, I think, actually.
How did we miss this?
Yeah, I know.
That was a whole story in and of itself, because the...
and I have the picture from that pit orchestra, too.
So do I from Dieter's mom. Dieter's mom mailed it to me. Not emailed. Jesus, that wasn't even that late then. But, yeah, she passed it on to me. She mailed it to me, so...
Yeah, I think I posted it on Facebook. I thought I might have tagged you on it.
I think you might have. I'm not sure. But, yeah, true story. We go way back. So let's make sure this stays kind of a regular thing, guys, because this has been a blast, and I'd love to be on with you again. Love to have you on again.
Yeah, next time there'll be fewer technical difficulties. We're all set now.
Oh, my God. No worries at all. And Chris Babcock, to the days of O&A, this one's for you.
Get him, Johnny.
Sweep the leg! Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 64 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me this evening, the cast and crew of the Dinner with Schmucks Podcast. My producer, as always, Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out every little thing he's got going on Facebook. And next episode will be number 65. Be sure to stay tuned. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.